This is Mary Harris from Slate's What Next podcast with a message brought to you by Farmers Insurance. Yep, this is an ad. No two ways about it. Farmers paid my show to tell you about their refreshingly transparent approach to insurance, like how you get a clear breakdown of your policy with coverage on a page. That's all I have to read. So, if you want insurance as straightforward as this ad, visit farmers.com. Underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
When you need a snack that keeps up, reach for Roller Bites. Packed with protein and stacked with bold flavors like tequila lime, Monterey Jack, and Buffalo Ranch. These compact handheld snacks are built for busy days and nonstop schedules, delivering satisfying bites without slowing you down. No prep, no pause, just real flavor and real fuel in every roll. Find them at your nearest convenience store or see them on tour. Visit rollerbites.com for dates, locations, and more.
What's up, everybody? It's Bretsky, and America is turning 250. And I can't think of a better way to celebrate that than playing on an American-owned social casino, SpinQuest.com. With all of your favorite games, live craps, bubble craps, live blackjack, there's no better place to play for free and win real cash prizes. SpinQuest.com.
SpinQuest is a free-to-play social casino. Void where prohibited. Visit SpinQuest.com for more details.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Alienized Photos Industry Talk. And this is big. I have a legend speaking on branding and been in the entertainment realm 50 plus years, heavy in the music, but also an actor, model, coach. There's so many things, and I want to speak on that, but I want to give you your flowers for everything you've done, especially in the music and hip-hop community. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you could do the better introduction for yourself, so I'll let her pass the torch and pass the mic.
Okay, good evening, good morning. My name is Michael Bell, a.k.a. Peerless, in terms of my hip-hop name, or you can find my music under that name. He's Peerless, Peerless. Yeah, I've been in the entertainment business for 50 plus years. And as an artist, throughout the 50 years, it was all for me about expanding, growing, leaving comfort zones, you know, things of that nature as an artist, to keep reaching, because artists, I consider art a limitless source. And as long as you can tap into a creative reservoir, you're right on time in time.
Wow. So I want to jump right into it, going all the way back to age 14. Mm-hmm. What were some of those moments like at that age?
Well, at the age, what was very popular here in Cleveland, and there was a lot of talent, was talent shows. They were very popular. It was a lot of competition because you had a lot of great talent here. You had a lot of talent that was actually patterning themselves after national acts. So therefore, it could have easily been a national act, very easily. I mean, in terms of the nightclubs and things that you had here, you couldn't, in other words, like I would say that there's a lounge act and then there's a performance act.
What's the difference between the lounge act and performance act?
Okay, a performance is like what you would go see at a venue, what the Wolf, I was going to say the Wolfstein, but what is it called now? Is it still the Wolfstein?
I think that changed in a year.
Okay, Wolfstein State Theater. It would be that level of talent because in those days you got discovered by your performance. If a record company was going to sign you, it would be because of your performance. That's what, we weren't recording a lot of records like the access to, to do those things today. So therefore the performance was a thing. And I was raised on the street 139th and Kinsman. And on that street as singers, you had Paul Woodall, you had Michael Camp, you had Alfred Andrews, you had Christine Dixon, you had Tony Christian. It was so many singers. So at the age of 11, I started singing. We started out singing Beatles songs. And then a couple of years after that, the Temptations came on. I started singing with Alfred and Michael. And then later on, maybe a year after we started, a young man moved onto our street by the name of Paul Woodall. What was very interesting about Paul, at the age of, like, say, 13 or 14, he could arrange vocal harmonies. Because in those days, a lot of us, we didn't have bands unless we were doing the show, so we started out a cappella. So a lot of the vocal things that he would create would compensate for the music that wasn't there. He was a very talented fella.
Wow.
So I moved from Cleveland to Shaker, and there I met my best friend and one of the best singers ever in Cleveland, Ohio, by a guy by the name of Harold Beverly. He went from Harold Beverly to H.B. Soul to Sundown. He had many names, but he was an extraordinary singer because in those days, Eddie Laverta, the OJs, was very popular, and David Ruffin, of course. And Harold could do both of those well. In fact, years later on, as he traveled through the South and gained some popularity, Ollie Woodson, who sung Treat Her Like a Lady for the Temptations, that was his drummer.
Wow.
And he would feature Ollie. And later on, those guys got together with another friend of mine by the name of Nebraska Turner, who I had sung with, they sung with the Bill Pinkney Platters later on, all those guys together. So there was a lot of that going on. So at 12, I did my first talent show. And at that time, the Temptations had a record out, Live, Don't Look Back. And I just started singing, and a lot of the older guys would say, man, you sound like Paul. And I didn't know I knew who David was, I knew who Eddie was. You sound like Paul. So he told me, he said, go and get the Meet the Temptations album. And Paul, he was the original lead singer. Listen to that. So I did. Now, when it got time to do the talent show, it was my first performance. And I guess throughout the rehearsals, other people who were on the show were talking about us to the students because Alfred and Michael went to Hamilton, Harold and I went to Shaker, so we couldn't compete because of that, no matter how good we were, because we all didn't attend the same school, right? So anyway, man, we walked out, and it was packed, and I was nervous. But you heard the roar of the crowd. So I said, they already heard about us, right? So I got comfortable. I was real comfortable. And we did the first two songs. And by the time we got to my song, which was the closer, I do remember as soon as it started that the crowd went crazy. And I started singing, so I got real comfortable. And I was singing away, and I watched as the crowd went from screaming to standing up, and what had occurred, our time was up. But I was so into the song, I didn't see anybody on the side stage saying, come off, right, because our time was up.
Yeah.
So I guess they said, close the curtain. And the moment, I wasn't aware, but the moment they closed the curtain, I stepped forward in front of the curtain, and later on, everybody told me it looked like it was planned. And I remember I went down on one knee, and these girls bum rushed the stage, and they grabbed me, and they almost pulled me head first. And the assistant principal, Mr. Noah, he reached out from behind the curtain and grabbed me right on time. And all the guys from the rest of the group ran and told me, oh, man, did you see that? That was called you. Did you see what you did? And I didn't. And it was like, that was it. That was it. This is where I needed to be, and I felt someone needed to see us at the age of 12 and at the age of 14. The popular club here was Leo's Casino. In those days, a lot of those acts didn't go and do the large venues like they do now. The supper club was the next level. Like you had the popular Copacabana in New York City. In Cleveland, you had the Versailles Motor Inn. So for maybe your age group, let me give you a picture of Cleveland.
Okay.
You had clubs from like 105 all the way down to 79th or 71st. It was clubs everywhere. People were out. man, having fun. A lot of national acts came through here. A lot of them just came in sometimes to sit, just sit in and play. Because Cleveland, as far as the music goes, it was like Detroit. But we didn't have the producers and what have you to elevate us to that next level. Wow. So it was like, for me, I wanted to be in the music business. Wow. So the Temptations were playing the Versailles. I saw it in the Plain Dealer Friday magazine. It was about 11 o'clock at night. And I thought I'd give a call to the venue. And when I called the venue, I knew the name Eddie Kendricks well, and from just studying the album covers for so many years, I felt a vibe with Eddie and Paul. And I called and asked for Eddie. In those days, they send you right through to the room. And I have to tell you that even at 14, my voice was heavy as it is now. So I sounded like an adult man when I called. I didn't think about that then. Yeah. And I called and I asked to speak to Eddie. We greeted and I told him, I said, man, I have a group and we sing your songs and people love us, because of the talent show. Yeah. And
that was your first talent show?
Yeah, that was the first talent show, first performance ever.
So what would you say to a young artist that, they haven't got themselves out there, are scared or be afraid to get on stage? Like that limiting belief, like that first time.
Stage fright, it's very funny about stage fright because a lot of people relate butterflies. I get butterflies.
Nervousness.
Yeah, that's considered like a nervousness, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the story to that. If you've been in the business a long time and then you lose those butterflies, it's time to come off stage. It is that type of energy you can cave in or push forward, you see, as in anything that's a new adventure. The unknown always seems to be frightening until you jump in, and sometimes you got to jump in with no feet.
Ooh. Jump in with no feet.
Yeah. That means you don't know what's happening, where you're going to go. Mm-hmm. But what's important, and most important, is faith in yourself. Think how much faith that I have to pick up the phone at 14 and let me call one of the Temptations at 14.
Wow.
The talent show did it for me. The talent show did it in a way that I didn't want to go to school anymore.
You had that mindset at 14.
I had that mindset at 14.
That's powerful.
So I called, and he said, "Where are you guys singing?" And I said, "Well, we're singing in my mother's basement." And he said, "I'm not coming out to any mother's basement, but you guys could come down here."
Yeah. All right. Mother, a huge fan.
It was at the Versailles Motor Inn. We could go there. So it was late at night. I was pumped. I was excited. I couldn't wait till the next day, to get together with them to tell them, "Hey, man, we're going to audition for Eddie Kendricks." And the next day I told my mother, my brothers and sisters, and they were like, "Mike, for real, how did you know? How did you know where they were staying and everything?" So when I got with the guys, they had the same questions. Man, how did you know? How did you know? For me, I'm researching. They're here. I called. And the guy, he said to me when I called, "Hey, man, they're not staying here. They're staying down the street at the Holiday Inn." I said, "The Holiday Inn?" "Yeah, on 36th Street." So that's how I found that out, right? So in those days, you had the phone in the basement, the phone upstairs. I said, "Well, go in the basement, and I'm going to call to show you I know where they are." So I called. They went downstairs. I said, "Pick up the phone." And they picked up the phone, and they heard the operator say, "Sorry, he's not in." So I start calling other guys, David, Paul. And they were like, "Oh, man, we're going to sing for the Temptations." They were pumped, right?
Yeah.
So we're all ready. And one of the things that Eddie said to me, he said, "Don't bring any cooties down here." And cooties was our term for what people would say hoodlums or the gangsters. Don't bring them down here. And as soon as he said that, in a way, that kind of celebrity thing kind of went away because he was speaking our language, but he didn't want to be bothered with that. So he was aware. I was aware that he was aware what was going on in our generation, right?
Yeah.
So a couple days or a day or two before we got ready to go down, I called again. And this is how the phone call went. Hello, Eddie. Who is this? This is Bill. Don't come down here, damn it. You bugged everybody in the group. I'm sorry. No, look, if I hear you bugged another person in this group, don't come down here. So don't bug. If you don't do it, you can come. Okay, Eddie, I didn't know. I'm sorry. So he said, okay. Now I didn't tell the fellas I almost blew it. So yeah.
Wow.
And it came to that day. And we went down, and he answered the door. And I had never seen Eddie with facial hair. Very thin fellow, like 6'1", very thin. And we walked in, and I noticed, and it was the first time that I saw someone who actually collected records. Because in his hotel room, it must have been about maybe 50 records lined up of albums of different artists other than himself.
Wow.
So we found out that he was a collector of phonographs. And so we came in and we had a lot of questions, like, why didn't you and David get along? And he addressed it as if it was territorial. And I'm from Birmingham, David is from Mississippi. That's how he addressed it. But we got the impression that everything was cool. We asked about drugs. What I noticed, that they never spoke about each other's business. His answer was, I don't know about anybody else, but I don't,
Yeah.
So we picked up on that. So let me hear you sing. We got up and we sang an OJ song, How Does It Feel? He's very impressed. And then I sung Don't Look Back. And the moment that I finished, I kind of got the same response that I got from the talent show. He jumped up and ran out of the room.
Wow.
And all the guys it was a surprise because he didn't say anything. He just jumped up and ran out of the room. And we all start, look toward the door as he went out. And in my mind, I said, he went to get Paul. Because the older guys told me, you sound like Paul. So much like Paul. He came back, he was collected, where did you go? Oh, I went to see some of the other guys in the group, was around. And then I knew then it was Paul. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Then I started to show the choreography, in which he says, well, I just move, I'm not a dancer. So I was showing the choreography, and where he was standing, the hotel room, you could look out into the parking lot, and Paul just happened to be pulling in. And we all ran to the window because he said, here's Paul now. And we saw this green Eldorado pull in, green and white pull in, and saw this guy get out. And he had what we would call a polo shirt. This is like 1967.
Wow.
He had like a polo,
60
but
years.
this polo was like a caramel color. And it's hard to describe because I've never seen another one like it because it was like material on material made within it because it had a design. It was really nice. And then he had on a pair of silk shorts, which were kind of tapered to the knee, that length, and a pair of slip-on deck tennis shoes and a pair of Ray-Bans. And as he got out of the car, we was making a hoopla, Paul, and he humored us by putting on his glass, like touching his glasses and walking like he was a big-time star,
Yeah.
And there was an awning that he would walk under to come into the hotel, that he would be out of our visibility. But before that occurred, he threw his keys in the air without losing the stride and without looking back, caught him behind his back. He did a total spin and caught his keys behind his back without losing the stride.
Wow.
And he came in, and Harold Beverly was standing by the door, and Eddie says, answer the door. And he answers the door, and Harold says, hey, Paul. And Paul says, yeah, I talked to you on the phone. And I said, no, that was me. And he said it just like this. Oh, that was you, huh? Like that, I was like, it didn't sound like approving, right? So I said he was the one that probably gave Eddie all the trouble because I not only, that I feel like I messed up, but I felt like I got him in trouble by calling them, right?
Yeah.
And I was nervous because he was the choreographer, and Eddie was kind of proud. He said, "Go ahead, Bill, finish the steps." And Paul had on the Ray-Ban, so you really couldn't read, his face. He had a straight look, like a poker face. And he was like, "Yeah, do the steps." And I started with the choreography, and I was probably 60 seconds in, and he said it just like this: "We got a goddamn thief in the room." And as a kid, 14, it didn't hit me like a compliment. It actually hit me like I was a thief, and I stopped right there in my tracks. And I think he picked up on that, and he said, "Okay, they can dance, but can they sing?" And Eddie was already pumped. He's like, "Yeah, come on, sing, right? Sing."
Yeah.
So we sung, Harold sung "How Does It Feel?" And he was like, "Yeah, OJs." They knew the OJs and everything. And then I sung "Don't Look Back." And Eddie was sitting down and Paul was standing up. And Eddie kept nudging him while I was singing and pointing up to him like, "Oh,
Get
man,
ready.
He's on you. He's on you." And after everything was, after we were done, I was waiting on his response. And he just went, "Oh, yeah, they can sing, but they'll be broke up by tomorrow." And one of the guys in the group said, "Sure would." And Harold got upset and like balled up his fist and was like, "Boo, man," because his nickname was Boo. Boo was Alfred. "Boo, man." And then Paul said, "Look at this boy trying to give him the high sign. Like, why did you say that? Okay, I'll see you guys later." And he left. And I was like, wow. So Eddie said, "Look, I want you guys to come back. Tomorrow I want some people to hear you." So we were pumped. He said, "Because I got to get ready to go to work." And I asked, "Where do you work?" And he laughed and said, "Little brother, this is work. So here's our orientation." So we started at the age of 14. And I was the youngest. "Hey, let's go to work."
Right.
You know that we started using that. So the next day, what occurred, Eddie went into the bathroom to get ready for work. And I was standing outside the bathroom door while he was trimming up his Fu Manchu, just talking, and there was a knock on the door. And he said, "Answer that." And when I opened the door, it was this tall fella that had on this gold shirt with a V-neck, green pants, and the same deck tennis shoes that Paul had on. And we were listening to the Temptations album, Temptations with a Lot of Soul. And the song that came on was a song called "Save My Love for a Rainy Day," which was a song that Eddie had recorded. And this guy, his arm was in a cast. And as soon as I opened the door and he was just standing there, he looked at me and I looked at him. Then he pushed past me and said, "Whoa, this is my song." And I was like, "Eddie, who was that?" He said, "That's Ruffin." And see, he didn't have on glasses and anything. And in 67, a lot of black men were transferring over from process hairdos. I don't know, you're familiar with the process where you used to get your hair straightened.
Yeah.
So, you kind of had that, like that white boy's hair. You know what I mean? So,
Perms.
yeah, they were leaving that and going in the 60s was about the true culture of blacks in America. And I would say that period was our culture. And I say that, and even though what I'm going to say you may not understand it, but I'm going to use it so you'll get an idea. Our ancestors were upon the blacks in the 60s like full force. You could see it in the dress. You could see it in the consciousness. But at that time in America, everybody was questioning the values of America. You had the hippies, you had this, they were religious, they were questioning everything. So out of that period, you got your Martin Luther Kings, you got your H. Rap Browns, you got your Nikki Giovanni, you got all our revolutionary people was through the 60s. So the Afro was the identification, Black Power. But David was standing there with a hairdo that looked like, in 67, that looked like it was a woman's hair straight out of curlers. So it took me aback, because there's a lot of things that can go on in the entertainment industry.
Right.
You hear stuff about Puffy now, which is not new, a lot of that stuff. So you didn't know who was who, what was what, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I was cognizant of that at that age. But he pushed past me, and he started dancing in the middle of the room to the song Save My Love for a Rainy Day. And they were just like taking in, and even where I was standing, I was taking in. I had to say, "Dance, David." And then he quickly turned around and said, "Hey, you guys can come to my room if you want to." So Eddie said, "Okay, look, make sure you guys are back here tomorrow." So we said, "Okay." So we're walking to David's room, which is a door or two down, and he says, "My record player is just as good as Eddie's." So we go in, we open the door, and there was a gentleman in the bathroom picking his hair out. And I was like, "David, who is that?" And you want to be the first to know, and I'll tell the rest of the guys that's coming in right behind me, but they're right behind me, but I want to be in the know.
You're right.
And I didn't hear him all the way, and I thought he said, "That's our manager." And I turned around to the rest of the guys, and I said, "Hey, man, that's the Temp's manager." And David got in my face and said, "That's my manager." And then, I just straightened up, right? And in the hotel rooms, you only have so much room for clothing and what have you. They had brought up an extra rack for David, and people collect tennis shoes today, David must have had about 30 or 40 pairs of shoes to wear. Then on the dresser, it was a tray with about maybe 30 pair of different frames of glasses.
Wow.
So we walked in, and we wanted that. He puts this little record player on that couldn't compare to Eddie's. And he's playing their album. And David sing. And he'd go, "No." It's like, "David sing." "No." So Harold Beverly opened up, and he was rolling. David turned around, after he was 30 seconds in, "Pronounce your words. Pronounce your words." And Harold shut up, because David was intimidating, right? So we had questions, it's like, "Hey, man, we heard you were supposed to go to this party." And David at that time was 26. And David was like, Party. Get your rest. Get your rest." And he was almost, during this period, we was talking about different other things, and then he was almost dressed. And then he said, "I'm not wearing this." So he took that all off. So in my mind, at 14, he's showing out, okay? So as he was going in his drawer to get the fresh pair of socks to go with his next outfit, one of us asked, "Which one of you go with Tammy Terrell?" That was our term for saying that that's your girlfriend. Is that who you go with? So, and David said, "Which one of it go with Tammy Terrell?" And he says, "Go with." Go with. And at the time, he pulled out some pictures out of the drawer. And he handed them to Alfred, and we all jumped on the pictures. And it was a picture of Tammy, and it said, "To my husband, David Ruffin." And we said, "Oh, man, you married to Tammy Terrell?" What did the picture say? You getting the idea of David? Okay,
I am, yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like, this guy's egotistical. I didn't have terms, but I felt, ego.
Right.
So I got regular. I felt comfortable. And I think one of the guys asked him something, and he said, "You see that bottle of medicine on my dresser? I have to drink that every day." He had ulcers at 26 years old.
Wow.
Okay. So.
How old was he at the time?
He was 26.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, he had ulcers. He was 26. And I remember getting up off the bed and walking over to the side of the dresser and watch him comb his hair out. And he first time he really initiated something. Hey, you guys ever heard of a 75? And everybody was like, no. And I went, I have, like that. I'm flexing. I have. And he from combing his hair out, he was like 6'3". I'm a little guy. He turned around, got in my face and said, what is it then? And I said, I was intimidated. And I said, I don't know. I was just kidding. He said, I know you were, right?
Yeah.
And so he completed everything. And we go downstairs in the elevator. And we're standing outside on the ramp, like of the hotel before you walk into the parking lot. Mm-hmm. And we see this long limousine come around. And you couldn't tell whether it was a Mercedes or whether it was a Cadillac. It was sharp. I had never seen anything like it. Mm-hmm. And I guess this was the 75. And on the car panel, on the passenger side, you got with a light panel, then there's the door. Mm-hmm. But at the bottom of the front panel, written in cursive was David Ruffin, and it was a pair of white framed glasses, like illustrated on the car.
Wow.
Right. And so the chauffeur opened the door. Mm-hmm. When he opened the door, we saw the blue mink carpet. We saw the television. We saw the bar in the back. And we saw David get in. And we was like, wow. Then we saw the driver get out, walk back around to David's door, open David's door, let down David's window, go back around, get in the car, and take David to the gig, which you could walk probably in 8 minutes.
Wow. Some of them early lessons, like, having a good time, but also soaking up the wisdom and the knowledge and the experience. How big is mentorship at an early age, or any lessons?
After that, what occurred for us the next day really catapulted me into, okay, this is it all the way. Mm-hmm. So the day, that was the next day, the people didn't show up. And we were walking Eddie to work. And you had the Sahara Hotel on the other side of the street, and then there was the Versailles Motor Inn. Mm-hmm. And we heard somebody say, hey, Eddie. And it was a guy with his luggage getting out of a taxi. Mm. And, out of respect, we stayed on this side of the street while Eddie walked over to the guy who called him. He talked for a few minutes, then he motioned for us to come over, and he introduced us to Levi Stubbs of the Four Tops. Mm. And he told us to go upstairs with Levi, and he was going to work. So we went upstairs with Levi. We sung for Levi, and he took all our names and numbers down. And on the way out, one of the guys said, there goes Barry Gordy and Diana Ross. And me, I had on my father's seersucker suit with the white shirt and the white shoes, looking like I was from Panama. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was just trying to be impressive. So I walked up and I said, how you doing, Mr. Gordy? My name is Michael Bell. And I grabbed Diana Ross's hand and I kissed her on the cheek and I said, hi, Diana. And she kind of blushed and said hi. And then he bid her farewell, and then he asked us, where you guys coming from? So I gave him the whole scoop, how we sung for Ed and Paul, and we just left Levi's room, And I guess what they were doing, Detroit wasn't that far away, so their artists would come and support each artist's shows, like they were coming to support the Temps. Mm-hmm. And so he said, well, let me hear you guys sing something. And we blasted out. Oh, okay, not so loud, not so loud. Called back to the hotel and asked for a Robert Bullard and tell him I said to give you guys an audition. Later on, I found out that Robert was his nephew. So on the day of our audition, we go in the room. Robert, real nice guy. It's a beautiful lady sitting in the chair, with her legs folded up, and she has on that one-piece jumper where you can see her beautiful legs and everything. She was gorgeous. And he introduced us and said, this is Cindy Bird's song. She's going to be the new Supreme. And I said, oh, it's going to be 4 Supremes? And he said, no, 3. And that broke my heart. Florence wasn't going to be in the group anymore. That kind of broke my heart. So we did our audition. So I waited a day or two and I called. And he said to me, Motown says you guys have a place with us upon graduation. And I got mad. Man, what about Stevie Wonder? Stevie Wonder didn't graduate. And he started laughing, man. He said, man, Stevie Wonder, man, he's blind. That's totally different. So he said, anytime you come to Detroit, contact me. And I did, and we got together. And that's how I found out he was Gordy's nephew. And I saw some of the history where Papa Gordy was an enterprising man himself, things like that. I got a chance to see all that. So from that occurring for me, I stayed in touch with Eddie and Paul till Paul passed away. And Eddie passed away. I was in contact with them throughout, and I learned I was going to be groomed by Paul in New York before they found Paul dead. He had told me that. So we didn't get a chance to get to that. It's so much that I can say. If you want to do another show about them and the things, we can do that.
Let's
because
do it,
as a young man, I had a lot to see. Mm-hmm. So, and to hear the things from them, when Eddie got out of the Temptations, Eddie only had a couple $100,000 and some houses. Out of all that fame, Paul was down on his luck. Well, Florence, she ended up on welfare. I think she died on welfare.
Oh, man.
So, one thing about Eddie, this whole push that I learned from Eddie, because I remember the first question I asked was, how do you feel when someone else leads the song? And he said, it don't matter to me, little brother, as long as I get paid. It was always as long as I get paid. So from that, I knew I had to learn the business. And I recorded my first record at 16, not with Motown. It was a local label here by a bail bondsman by the name of Chuck Brown. Chuck Brown created a label called Saru Records, and initially he created that label because his girl was a great singer. Her name was Cassandra Abrams, but we called her Chicken.
So is Saru where you kind of learned the business, music business?
Well, I'm learning as I go.
Learn as you go.
Because Eddie was like my big brother, like any references I need, or I wasn't sure if I would call him, and he would say, little brother this, little brother that, and then I would see him every year, he would come through. So, 16, so my parents had to sign that contract. I wrote my first record. I was brought to the label by Paul Woodall. He had joined up with some other guys, and they were called the Out of Sights. And they were a very popular recording group along with the Entertains, along with the Imperial Wonders. And people were recording and doing records, and they were being played on the radio at that time by Ken Hawkins. Ken Hawkins was a noted DJ who would reach out to a local talent, Marvelous Ray, and promote them. But who played my record was Lynn Tolliver. His name was Shotgun at the time. We became friends. So Shotgun would play my record. With that, I asked to be out of that contract, and he let me go after maybe a year. Because I think we did 2 shows. We did one at the Lakeview Palladium in Dayton, Ohio, where we opened up for Curtis Mayfield and the Impressions, and that was right before Curtis went solo. We did that. So I recorded my record. The focus on that time at the label, it was the Out of Sights. So as far as material, it was going to the Out of Sights. So I decided to write my own song, and I did, and I took it to a noted guitar player who was working with that whole situation, a guy by the name of Calvin Brown. So Calvin Brown, I was singing my song for Calvin Brown, and Calvin Brown was like, Mike Bell, you need a change in the song, man. When you get here, do this. So we came up with the song, I Can't Make It Without You, and we did that one. And like I said, after those 2 gigs, the Americana downtown Cleveland, that, and the Lakeview Palladium, which I didn't get paid. And I was out of that contract. I started with a band. It was 3-piece band: Joe Pearson, Clarence Gillespie, and George Jones. The hottest 3-piece rhythm section that you would ever hear. Clarence was man. Clarence, not only was he a drummer, Clarence could put the live shows together in terms of what music should be done, what segues. And when you guys are doing the choreography, I'm going to hit 3 licks on the snare, and you do the licks with the snare. So I was learning performance through Clarence. Yeah, so we left and went on the road. And in those days, like I said, your show is what sold you. So we ended up going through the South, which was considered the Chitlin circuit down south. And we were a lot in Tennessee, Alabama. And I remember when we were in Alabama, people were asking us, did we ever come up against this band? And I can't remember the name of the band, but I'll tell it to you in a few minutes who they became. Because they were supposed to be the hot thing. So I know one thing that we did. There was a popular 8 or 9-piece band called Black Eyez in Birmingham. We played the Persian Lounge with these guys. And we were on the show with just the 3 singers and the 3-piece. Tore them up. And they had to say, man, we're 9 pieces, man. We couldn't touch you because George, Clarence, and Joe, they were that tight. They were tight. Playing the show. I mean, it's what you would see like at the state. That's the level. That's what we were. A lounge act, you just atmosphere.
Okay.
You're just playing the music. And you may sing well. You may do 1,000,000 runs and all kind of gymnastics. But you just sing. You just sing. Because our thing was, you could stay at home and listen to a record.
True.
You can stay at home. What? We have to make you come out. I got to see them visually. You see what I'm saying? So to answer your earlier question, most acts I see now are lounge acts.
So going back to...
So for me, I think I know where you want to go.
Going to that contract?
I reached out. I wanted to talk to Ben Vereen. You know who he is?
No.
Ben Vereen was a Tony Award winner on Broadway. Ben ended up with his own TV show one summer. Ben played Chicken George in Roots, in the movie Alex Haley's Roots. But Ben was just like dancing. I went to see Ben Vereen at the front row, and I saw Ben Vereen jump from the stage to the arms of the people's chair and walk on the backs of the chairs all the way back down, up and then back down to the stage. Wow. And that was a revolving stage. Oh, Ben Vereen was cold. He was in major shows. Pippin, Harry. He was that guy. And I couldn't get to Ben, so I ended up talking to Ben's road manager, a guy by the name of Clay Anderson. See, I always saw things. And he said, you seem like a nice young man. I want to tell you something. He said, in order to succeed, be objective. He said, do you know what I mean? I said, no, what do you mean? He said, always look at yourself in the third person.
How do do that exactly?
Well, when you're objective, it's like you're not into your feelings. It's more of I see the external things that I'm dealing with.
Your awareness.
Whether I agree with it or not, it is what it is, and I need to do what's necessary, because his second thing was, don't allow yourself to be consumed by people.
But there's also come a time where, like you said, looking at yourself at an external.
From the external things that you're dealing with, to make sure that your calculation is proper and moving you toward the optimum action that you need to do to succeed. You need to be able to accept the fact of what's really there. Don't alter it by saying it's something other than what it is.
True
That's
reality.
the first lesson. Yeah? I think the first lesson is faith in self. Because in this business, like I hear a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to be around the negative, stay around the negative. My thing to anyone who's speaking like that, you're already at a disadvantage, because if you can't take rejection, and if you can't take someone negative being in a controlling position to help your career, you might as well sit down. This is why there's such a word as strategy. But in order to have a strategy that's on, that means you have to come up with a plan. Why would you make a plan on something that's altered, you altered in your mind instead of what's really there? Because you only operate. See, I look at us, we're spirits. That's what we are.
Correct.
We possess a mind, and we possess a body. You control your body. You control your mind. How? You only operate off the information that's in your mind. So if you're not getting the results that you desire, check it out and see the information that you're operating off on, would it really render such results that's being objective. Does that make sense? And that in itself is not just music business. That's it, period. Even in life, and knowing how to choose your people. You have to know how to choose your people.
Remind me of chess, like the game chess.
Well, then life is likened to a game. Because in life, you already have to accept the fact that in order to be a winner, accept the fact that the physical universe was not designed for you to win. You got a question on that?
Well,
is that so?
I'll
tell you what.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
Say you're getting ready to do something.
Okay.
Right?
I'm getting ready for this podcast.
Okay. Whenever you say you're getting ready to do something, how much doubt pops up? You start looking at different things. What? Am I right?
Self-doubt, yeah.
So the moment you say you're going to do something, what's there? Doubt. Huh?
True.
It wasn't designed for you to win. It was designed for you to put your will to it and get it done. Because if anything is going to happen, it's only going to happen if you intend. And the operative word is intend. Because that which you don't intend will not happen. Huh? So when we want to talk about branding and learning anything, my first thing that I would advise anyone is like a professor told me when I went to Kent, my sociology professor. He said, what you learn today may not be applicable tomorrow. So make the library your friend, because anything you don't know, the information is in there. Now you have Google. So as I was taught in learning, never go past a misunderstood word and never guess at a word. To look it up, for that's where you begin to get clarity of concept. Because, you can look up one word, there's about 5 or 6 different definitions of which one fits the scenario that you're in. It's just like learning concepts. Branding, right quick. A lot of people that I talk to, and we can get into it, but a lot of people think that what they do is branding, and it's not.
What is branding?
Branding must answer the question, why do I need what you have to offer in my life? Let's take a look at the playing field. How many people doing music? You can't count them.
Yeah, so many.
How do you break through that in what we're dealing with today?
Your identity.
How do you break? That's branding was designed to break through the noise. Because then what it puts you in is what is considered a niche market. When somebody could be doing the exact same thing that you're doing, but because of your brand, it takes on something different. For me, now, I think I understand the concept because about 20 years ago, I had in 2003 I started going for a reality show, and I shot for 3 years, and then I started shopping the show, and I happened to run into a guy who said he had some connections. He came to a gig. I was in a band, Shout, and he loved the band, and he was like, "Hey, look, I got a reality show connections and all that." So I hooked up with this guy. His name was Daniel Moneypenny. He said, "Mike, mostly pennies." That's what he said. I said, "Daniel Moneypenny, you sound like money." So
right.
Daniel was we were talking. I think Daniel made $75,000 within a 3-month period, and I was like, "How'd you do that?" He said, "Well, I do taglines." I said, "What's that?" I write lines, business lines, and identification lines for people's products.
Copywriting.
No, like Nike, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
See, there should be a one line that can come out of your brand, because what you have to do, once you identify your brand, when people come to you, you have to do what is called brand orientation. Mm-hmm. Because they're new to you, just like going to college. What do you get? Orientation to that which it is. So you have to orientate people to your brand. And this is so ambiguous term to use, but just for the sake of example. Say I say I love, and a lot of people say I stand for love, I stand for love. That's not specific enough, but as an example, let me say, okay, I love, that's my brand. And then what can I say about love? That you need to hear, that you never heard before, but you need this information I need to tell you, because you feel like it can help your life. Because see, branding is not about you. Branding is about the other people that you're trying to give to.
Being direct, yeah.
Right, it's not about you at all. At all. I don't care how good you think you are. It's not about you at all. It's about serving them. So with your brand, you say, okay, love is my thing, blah, blah, blah. My T-shirts, if it won't have anything but quotes about love, my music, everything that I do must bear and the visibility of that which I say I am. Because here's the thing that branding was supposed to do during the period. You had different talk forums and stuff like that people could lend themselves to, get in the chats. So there's other people who have podcasts, who have things talk about love. So now what happens? I go over here and I'm over here talking. Oh, that guy, yeah. So what's up? Oh, what does he do? Oh, he does music. You know what? I'm not that much into music, but let me check it out, because that's my guy. I like the way he feels and thinks.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm going to get his stuff. I'm going to buy his T-shirt. Because the way they feel about who? About who? About who? Me.
You, yep.
So in a way, it's almost like what Hollywood and what the big corporations do in the music business. We must create a persona. Yeah? Tagline, Motown. Who was Motown for? See, your audience is in there. Music for Young America. Now, when you take Nike's one line out of their brand, who does it apply to? Just do it. How many people would that apply to? Huh?
Almost everybody.
All right, then. You getting me now when I'm talking about branding? I mean, we could talk more, but are you getting a sense of it? Huh? Just do it.
Just do it.
What color? What age? That's a brand. And you know when after I was taught branding, you know when I really realized how it was supposed to go down? I was an extra for a LeBron James commercial when he came back to Cleveland. And in this commercial, what it showed, they had shots of people on the construction site. They had kids on the school bus, people all over Cleveland. And my scene, we shot it, was it the Wolfstein Inn? We shot it there, and then they had a half an audience over here. They filmed that, then they put us to the other side, and they filmed that side. And the Cavs came in. They're bouncing the ball around. You seen that shot. And then you see LeBron, they go into a huddle, and LeBron said, Cleveland on so-and-so. And while he's doing that, you see all these different people from different parts of Cleveland doing their thing. And
I remember that.
And then all of a sudden it's like a horn blows and everybody's tuning in. And Bron said, we got to do this for you. And next thing you know, everybody from wherever they were, they all ended up downtown in Center Light with Bron.
Yeah.
That's branding.
That's
you understand?
branding.
You understand me now? That's branding, man.
And unity, community.
That's beyond the ball game. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when you look at it, it was sharp because he had just come back to Cleveland. And this is for Cleveland. So we're getting you on that emotional level. Bron is
Emotion.
back. See, this is branding, baby.
It is.
And that's the thing, man. Just being a creative person, just to get your hands in that to mold and shape a brand. For me, I'm still trying to come up with my orientation. For me, it has worked backwards that I do it through the content. Because your content, that's what it must speak, what you're about. So it begins to guide so people can come, and then it's consistent because it's consistent along the line of your brand and your brand philosophy.
You said that woke you up as far as like branding and help you build a brand. When did you know you had branding down packed, like this is what I must do?
For me, I'm still that name, what it's going to be called in the tagline. For me, an artist's responsibility as an artist, and this is my view, this is my viewpoint. No one else has to agree with it. It's artist's responsibility to interject what I would say, for lack of a better word, let me say fresh realities into that which is present, and the realities that I must interject must be that which furthers humanity or further my people. No artist can be a good artist unless he's aware of his mind, but not only his mind, but the mind of the country in which he lives. You see, for me, in my evolution as an artist, and that, when I look at it, it all has always been with me, is my people. So the money and all that at my stage, it has never been about the money. It's just, let me do what I want to do. And my father, before he passed, he told me something. He said, Mike, you know what? You always been a success. You know why? I said, why? Because you always did what you wanted to do. And so for me now, the music that I create or anything that I do must help people to dial into that which they possess and to express especially the climate that we're in this country politically. See, remember I was talking about the ancestors on us in the 60s. That was the true culture. This that you guys are calling a culture is a subculture. It's a culture without a culture, and you don't own anything. You don't do this. So it's not really a culture.
I want to speak on culture just so we do have the correct definition of culture. What is culture?
For me, culture is a way of life. Culture is and that way of life will cause you to do certain actions. When we say culture, then I have to look at what can survive. You know what I mean? What are the true culture? Not the symbols of culture, right? Not the symbols of culture. Just for the sake of definition, as I said, that I don't like to go past a word that I don't clearly understand or guess at. So that we don't guess and I can speak to it then, we can look up the definition of culture, and from that I can go into not the symbols of it, but the essence of what cultures are and what culture would mean to us as a people here in America, being descendants of Africans, because that's what we are. The whole terms of black and white didn't come into play until the 1600s. And that came in for a certain reason, but that's a whole nother subject. So culture for us, that would be totally another show if you want to know the truth about it, because let's not surface that. Let's really get into that where it's clear to us and clear to others that's listening to us, because anything I want to say, I want to make it clear so a person can decide upon whether that's their reality or not. You see, in life, there's no such thing in terms of, well, that's wrong and this was right, because what might be right for you could be wrong for someone else. So I like to use that there are three realities.
Three realities.
Yeah, yours, the other person's, and what we can agree on. Because that which we can agree on, that means we share reality. That's that which we cannot.
Three truths, yeah.
We don't share reality. And that which you share reality with, you want to share space with.
That's true.
So that's how that works. So the whole thing of culture, so if I consider myself leading someone into the knowledge of that, let's do something on that where we'll come back with the Oxford definition of culture, and then we'll go into it and see how applicable it is to us.
Let's break it down, yes. Yes, let's do it.
So how long you want to do this? Because, we have a couple of shows. You already know.
That's going to be part of it. Oh, yeah, you already know. It's every week almost.
Yeah.
We'll have something new.
And all this will aid in business.
So what's the relationship between branding and marketing?
That's all.
They're different.
That's all it's all encompassed in it.
Go together, yeah.
Because once you're in the brand and you know that you have to do everything consistently that's visible, that keeps you on the straight. That's what branding does. It keeps where it can be predicted. So people say, I know that I can go over here and deal with this because the brand keeps it consistent, the thing that they like. Once you find that out, you're not jumping all over the place. They're over there for your brand. So for me, I'm still walking around going like creatively in my mind. A lot of times it's just like, okay, what must this serve? What can I say? What would be the orientation? Because for all of us, we all are community building, and it's to our community is where we want them to support us. But we have to give them something that supports their lives. We're here right now. You look at music, my thing to artists, hey, man, look, forget about who was hot back then and who's hot on the charts. Now, the people already have that. When they go on the internet, man, they're looking for that fresh. Why are you looking for the same thing? It's like now on the internet, it's like people can pantomime and get 1 million followers doing somebody else's music.
Right.
So to cut through all that takes some thought, doesn't it?
It do.
Not just, boom, I'm a singer, I'm at the so-and-so. Bam, I'm at the so-and-so, I'm this, that, and the other. I mean, how come you don't follow me, man? How come you do it? And the killing part, you're trying to grow. You're not a celebrity. Interact with people. When people say something to you on your page, they don't have to. Come back and acknowledge it. Say something. It's engagement. It's social media. Social. And then, nobody comes to my page. How many people do you interact with? Interact. Energy. How many people do you stimulate that they want to come back and say, okay. So get your brand together. That might help you along those lines. And we'll talk more about branding because it's still probably not clear enough. But there is a book that I would suggest for anybody that I studied 20 years ago when I came into content marketing.
What's that book?
It's called Epic Content Marketing by Joe JoeyPullizzi. I got dialed in to content marketing because Daniel Moneypenny cut me into a guy out of Dublin, Ohio, Brad Zirconi. Brad Zirconi, he's a master brander and marketing guy. He's on Facebook.
Brad Zirconi?
Yes, Circone. Circone, because at that time I was trying to shop my reality show and I didn't have any stars. And Brad, Brad said to me, he said, Mike, take a look at it. The most popular show right now doesn't have any stars. And it was the Wives of Orange County or something like that, you know? And at that time, I was so far ahead of the curve that I didn't have any models that I could follow in terms of what I was doing for a reality show. I think at the time I was doing that, MTV was just going over into that because they later did a piece with Beyonce called a hip opera. I don't know if you remember that. Hip opera, yes. Yeah, they did that hip opera. But interesting enough, a guy from Cleveland, Preston Pickett.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
Ohio.
Yeah, from MFA at Cleveland State. The Mike Barry. Mm-hmm. Mike Barry, we'll get into this too. I was instrumental in moving hip hop in this city in terms of live performances and trying to gel the public with local artists. And at that time, Mike Barry, they were Fade Entertainment. They was like the most popular in terms of moving product and doing all that kind of stuff. They were the cats. They were really the cats. And they used to come, man, that's a whole nother story. All these people used to work together to get together to try to make Cleveland a place that was happening for music and what have you.
But Mike Barry, what do you think changed the culture or
that
movement?
Let me tell you what I did in terms of hip hop here in Cleveland. For me, and this, I brought my first promotion with hip hop was KRS-One. I had just come from doing a house gig in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I was down there for 7 years. And then I was back here and I was raising my kids. And they were, this is funny, because my daughter, she'll talk about this today. Hey, remember that time Dad picked up the record and said, who is Mac Light? MC Light. I called him Mac Light.
Oh, Mac Light.
And they started laughing.
Oh, man.
They started laughing, right? And it's like, that MC Light. So I said, let me try this hip hop thing. So it was between LL Cool J and KRS-One. Mm-hmm. And they said, bring KRS-One. And I reached out and we brought KRS-One to Cleveland. Wow. Yeah, it actually couldn't play Cleveland because something had occurred in Cleveland. I don't know if it was the 2 Live crew or what. Something happened that they couldn't give hip-hop shows in Cleveland anymore. So I ended up having to take him to the Packard Music Theater in Warren, Ohio, along that way. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Wow. So why do you think people
what
rebrand?
Changed, back to you, in Cleveland?
Let me say like this. Now is
let me say what
slowly
what
coming
felt,
back to
what
that.
I felt was a disservice to Cleveland's hip hop community. When I had the hip hop shows, you had to audition for me. I just didn't want 20 people jumping up and down on the stage, because you remember when that was happening? Just bring 80 people and we'll jump around and it looks like it's happening. They had to audition. So it was, Mr. Bell. I was like, no, let me have it, because here's the thing. You want people to come and see these shows and return every week.
Every week.
We got to be beyond, because we're trying to build an audience so that you can sell to your Cleveland audience like they doing in other cities. Mm-hmm. How else are we doing? We're not riding around selling music out of our car like that. So here's the thing. If we have a place, and the place was the Trilogy, Don and Velma Scott, who had Vales. I have been knowing them since I was a kid. And I used to be in their house band for many years when they had house bands. And so anyway, they asked me to come in. And at that time, I think Lateef was actually doing stuff, but I guess he was getting ready to switch out. And so when I came in the Trilogy, I think they had maybe 25 people in there that night. So I said, okay, we'll do it. And we had like 4,000 invitations that we could pass out. And if you got in before 11, you're free.
You're free, yeah.
So it was me, my nephew Corey Grant. He's making movies and stuff now. He wanted to make movies here, but he was here with me. And Corey and I, we would go out and we would be passing out these flyers, but we were doing more than passing out flyers. We'd be having conversations. Yeah, man, what's up? So that interaction, my energy, you know how my energy is, right? Yeah. So we just doing all that, man. The first week we were there, we had 500 people, man. And listen, when you walked in, it became 500. It became the metropolis. When you walked in, and I'm going to do a series because I filmed a lot of this. When you walked in over the bar, in the center bar, it was a catwalk. We had girls on the catwalk. You know, we had people dancing through the club, and the acts were smoking, man. They were getting down, man. So a lot of the stuff we have on camera when I do the series that I've been talking to you about. Okay. And like I said, Big Yank was Mike Berry's name. Always come through. Too True, Brina, Too True from Bones. What was that, Family? You know, when Bone did that Family album, the Bone Thugs Family album, you had the only female rappers was Brina, right? Okay. And Jazz. So Jazz had kind of went underground, and we had Brina. I mean, anybody who was doing anything in Cleveland as far as hip hop, and I'm talking acts. I'm talking about great talent. So out of that, we had the hip hop convention, and I'm active within the hip hop convention. It lasted for days. You got all the legendary people. We interacted, talking, and then you had events happening in different clubs, the Millennium and all that stuff. And I remember I was getting ready to go to the Millennium, and I got a call. I got a call from my woman at that time, and my daughter. Dad, we met KRS-One's dancers, J-Day. He said he's going to be on our label. And I was like, I never met him. I don't know, but he said he is. I never met him. So we got there to the KRS-One concert, and he came up, and he was like, what's up, Pops? And he's like, we're going to be, with you guys. So they were from the Boogie Down Bronx. So we was recording people from the Boogie Down Bronx, and it's interesting because they call me Papa Jack in the Boogie Down Bronx. Why you call me Papa Jack, man? Because, man, you remind me of the artist from Greenwich Village. You know about Greenwich Village? No. Oh, that was the spot for artists in New York. That was it. New York, okay. Yeah. Back in the day, it was Greenwich Village. That's complimentary, coming from my New York brothers, young brothers. Yeah, all the stuff we got, man. There's so much we can talk about. You know that, Steve. We talk from time to time here and there. So much. Yeah. I could talk for hours. So you just have to get me down to the specifics. But okay. I think we're off to a good start here. What do you think?
Yes. And I just want to go back and retouch on the rebranding because, like you said, branding is about consistency. Yeah. But people sometimes rebrand themselves 100 different times.
Well, remember this. What I said, it's not what you do, it's what you represent in life that others need in their lives. Remember, the attention span is like this.
Short, yeah.
Huh? Mm-hmm. So, ingenuity. See, just to say, what did I say in the beginning? I said, in order to do anything, you must understand the concept because it's only the information you're going to operate on that exists in your mind. So if you're not getting the results that you desire, that means that it's something that you're not doing because we have the ability to intend anything if you could deal with the opposition. If you could deal with the opposition. If you cannot deal with the opposition, you have no business in the game.
Wow. Wow. That's a mic dropper right there. So how do they get back on track if
Know when you're off track.
if they don't have any
It's
awareness?
easy to get back on. That which keeps you consistent. You got to be objective. You got to know. You can fall off at any time, but we forget we can change our mind. That's the easiest thing in the world. If you fell off here, okay, let me change my mind about this and get back over here. See, that's why objectivity is so important. Because to tell you the truth, you're only going to get certainty on that which you see, which you can look and see. Anything else, you're figuring, you're guessing. And you can go up. One figure only leads to another figure, and you never get to a final analysis. You'll be frustrated by the time it's like a dwindling spiral. One figure leads to this figure, and a mystery is just that. It's a mystery. It's not to be figured, right? So by looking, but in your looking, you must accept that comfortably, even that which you do not agree with. That's the only way you surmount opposition. Because if you can't have opposition, that goes back to what I was saying earlier about dealing with negatives. Somebody can throw some negative in your way that you didn't even think would do that. But you're not dealing with them. You're dealing with your goal, trying to get where you need to go. So it ain't personal, right? What you getting all the emotional about? You got strategies to work with to get to where you need to go.
Strategy, yeah.
So make friends with negative, baby. Be able to have negative. You can, because see, when you can have something, it's disarmed emotionally. You just got the information about it. Wow. Never to repeat again. That's just like, and it may not work for everyone, but the word should is a word that I'm constantly trying to keep out of my vocabulary. Because when I say something should be, I'm not accepting the way it is.
That's right.
Am I right?
That's right.
If I say it shouldn't be this, I'm not accepting. So what's my calculation going to be? Or when would I be? I'm stuck if I say it shouldn't. Because that means something there, I'm stuck. What can I do? But if I can have it, let me look at it. Okay, I need to do this. This is like warfare. And when this could be looked at warfare, when you have two opposing people in war, what are they doing?
This is Mary Harris from Slate's What Next podcast with a message brought to you by Farmers Insurance. Yep, this is an ad. No two ways about it. Farmers paid my show to tell you about their refreshingly transparent approach to insurance, like how you get a clear breakdown of your policy with coverage on a page. That's all I have to read. So, if you want insurance as straightforward as this ad, visit farmers.com. Underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
There's a fire inside you can't ignore. Stand still? Not a chance. You're a lifelong learner who's come this far. Now, we're here to help you keep going further. Capella University. What can't you do? Visit capella.edu to learn more.
We see it in the movies. They're putting strategies together and they're trying to be other determined. You don't know what that is. Let me tell you what it is. You were talking about chess.
Chess, yep.
See, can you take a loss?
I can, yes.
They said the most successful person is a person who could lose everything and get it again. Huh?
That's
but
true.
What happens to people when they lose, they become the effect of the loss, and it's overwhelming. Especially if you try to bite off a lot. If you try to bite off a lot and you can get discouraged when you don't get that win. That's why small wins are important, because they add up to the big win. You see. That's very important. So to share space with that, that's why I said you're already on your way to winning when you accept the fact that the physical universe was not designed for you to win.
Going back to the game of life.
So then you're going to be looking at that which opposes you. Is it okay for things to oppose you? That's what I want to know in life. Is it all right for things to oppose you? Because ups or downs are yours no matter how you feel. So you got to get a perspective on it. Because remember this, your thoughts are senior to the physical universe.
Wow.
Here, want me to make it plain for you? Anything that you see in the physical universe was once in a person's mind before it showed up here. Am I lying?
Not at all.
So where did it happen first? In the mind.
In the mind, yep.
Take the example of the Wright brothers, whether they stole the ideal or not. Cars were just being made.
Imagination.
Right. So we say not more than imagination. Communication. How so? Here's how so. We're living at a time when there's a lot of cars. I come up to you and I say, you know what? I'm getting ready to make a flying car. What would you say? I'm crazy. We just got cars, right?
Right.
And in my mind, that's what I want to do. But everywhere I go, people are telling me I'm crazy. So I lose communication with my idea because I was listening to others. I'm out of communication with my own idea.
Going back to that self-doubt.
Not self-doubt. Not being able to take opposition and see that which opposes you, because you can't have opposition. So therefore, you can't move opposition out the way because you can't have it. So therefore, it shouldn't be there. It should. You're living in the should instead of what is. What is. So that meant, how well did I communicate with my own idea if others talked me out of it? How well did I communicate with it? How well did the Wright brothers communicate with their idea of making a flying machine? Very well. It happened.
It happened.
They could have been talked out of it, right? But what was the determining factor was how well you communicate with your own ideas. They can only come into the physical presence based on how well you communicate with your own idea. That's why some people say some stuff, you be like, oh yeah, they're going to do it. But the bottom line, you don't see how well they communicated with that idea. That was something they were just saying. And you find that out later when it didn't happen. That was something they were just saying. Am I right?
That's true.
Is that clear? Because I want to make sure everything I'm saying is clear. Did I clear that up?
Yeah. But how do one sit down and communicate with their ideas?
Communicate with your idea. You have an idea. Take an idea just off the cuff. What's the ideal of yours?
A book, writing a book.
Writing a book. So, how do you write a book?
Get a pen and paper or typing.
Okay, so first you're going to get the pen and the paper. That's one move. Now, in all things, you have what is called a cycle of action. From the beginning to when it ends. Because if it ends and you're still going on, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? All right, then. So in a cycle of action.
Well, marketing, beyond the book.
Let's stay here.
Okay.
Cycle of action. A cycle of action must have a beginning, right? You must begin. Let's say I'm going to start at one point and I'm going to walk. My intention is to start at this point and walk over to this next point. So I must begin by taking what? The first step.
The first step, action.
That's the begin. Now, I got to get to the other side. Should I be thinking about the step I just made, or should I be thinking, should I be in present time trying to make the next step?
Present.
Okay, then I make that step. Then I just do 2 steps. Should I be dealing with the 2 steps I made, or in present time going to the 3rd step, because it takes 8 to get there? Huh?
Got to go that 8.
All right, then I keep doing it, and I keep staying in present time until I get to my intention. Okay, I want to write a book. What did I say? My professor said, if there's anything you want to know, make the library your friend. In this case, anything you want to know, make Google your friend. How do I become an author? First, I must have an ideal about a book. Then I have my ideal about my book. Now I have to communicate with my idea to see how much I can talk about my idea. Or if I don't, I'm just going to sit down with the pen and be there with the paper. And I'm going to write down what I do next. Well, I'm waiting on a strike of lightning to hit me because I don't have any direction, because I don't know what I intend to write.
Going back to Nike, just do it.
Going back to intention. It won't happen unless you intend to happen. And as you take each step in present time until that book is completed, that means you just did a whole complete cycle of action. You ever seen somebody start a cycle of action and give up halfway?
Oh,
does that happen?
All the time.
What happens? Well, it could be that they decided to, but you can get into what I call other determined. And that's dangerous. What is other determined? When something else determines your actions, what makes it dangerous is that you think you're doing it when it's something else. I say this. You ever heard that no man is an island? You ever heard that?
No man is island, yeah.
And most people, when you hear that, what do you think? That you don't live by yourself. No one is island. Let me take it a little further. No person can live on this earth without being an effect of another person or another thing. So to say that you live alone and you're this and you control of everything and this, that, and the other, are you aware when you take an effect? And that thing begins to determine your actions and you think it's you? Just like I told you, God intended to do the airplane, but people kept saying you're crazy. He believed more in their reality. What happened to his intention? He got out-created by somebody saying you're crazy. Lost his whole idea. He communicated more with their ideal of him than he did his idea that he wanted to create. Am I right?
It's true.
Let's break it down where it can be looked at. Remember, I said, when you look is where you get certainty. Not guessing or figuring. We don't want to guess and figure. We don't want a mystery. That never comes to a conclusion. We need certainty, so we need to look. And you always need to have your eyes about you in present time if you plan on bringing something into the physical existence. Like I said, everything that you can turn around and look at, it was once in a person's mind before it appears. So how well you communicate with the ideals in your mind determines whether or not your intention is going to go down. But one must have intentions, because if one does not intend it to happen, it will not happen.
What would you say to someone that's struggling with attention or, don't know how to get in the habit of making decisions? If you're
struggling with intention, you're not dealing with intention if you're struggling. There again, it goes back to how well one communicates, how well you communicate with self, how well you communicate is very important, because for you to get things done, you have to be able to communicate with your own intentions. Now, understand this now. This is why I said understand concepts are very important. You say you're going to do something, but you don't know the concept of it. How are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? If you don't know the concept, you can easily give it up. Or you may not even start because you're foggy on the subject. You got to be clear. Let me make it here. First of all, you got to be realistic and you got to be clear about what you can intend. This is why I said a little bit at a time, because believe it or not, you create ability.
Ooh, create ability.
You create ability. What are you doing when you bring something? You created the ability to bring something in. The ability to, it takes a certain amount of ability to do certain things. So you are creating ability as you are doing it.
Wow.
That is the marvel of being a spirit in a human body.
Wow.
That's the marvel of being a spirit, man.
It is. That's.
Huh?
I never heard it broken down that
Well,
way.
does it make sense?
It perfect sense.
Because
Wow.
if you intend to do something, it's going to happen.
That's true.
But if you don't, you got to know when you intend now, don't you? That's one thing you can't play with yourself about.
Yeah.
Huh? And like I said, if you say you're going to do something, others have talked you out of it, you didn't intend it because you didn't communicate with your intention well. Wow. You didn't communicate with your own idea. You playing with yourself. Ain't no room for that.
So going back to the branding, like people rebrand themselves multiple times. Why is that?
Well, if you're branding yourself, you want your brand to render what? What do you want it to render? Customers? Okay.
Product sales.
So if you keep doing cycle upon cycle upon cycle, what happens there? You create it against yourself. You created one thing and then you say, let me jump over here. Did you complete this cycle? Huh? No.
Not at all.
Then you jump over here. Did you complete this cycle? So now you got two incomplete cycles. How well are you communicating?
Wow.
Then you keep adding it on. What's happening with your communication in cycles?
It's going away.
You got confusion. Because you created against yourself. You said you was going to create one thing, then you created against that by saying you was going to do something else.
Now that whole rainbow, can't find the color.
Look, so like I said, you have to be clear about your intentions. So if you're not clear, that's the first thing, am I right?
That's right.
To be clear on your intentions. Because if you're not clear on your intention, how are you able to do it? You're going to face opposition. And if you're not clear, opposition can make you pull your dress down.
Wow. So what would you say is harder, building a brand or maintaining one?
Coming up with a brand.
Coming up with a brand. Why is that?
Because that is it. Remember, the brand answers the question.
The foundation.
The brand answers the question, why do I need what you have to offer in my life? And you want customers. You want people to take your offering. If you're not clear, how are they going to be?
That's true.
How? Just look at it mathematically. If you're not clear, how are they going to be? They're not going to be.
So it's building trust.
The trust is the brand that you said. What you say you're about, I see it consistently. I trust you because that what you said, I see. It's just like, okay, guys, I'm posting this up on Tuesday. You come on Tuesday and it's not there. Okay. I post it on Friday.
Wow.
Then I come back again and say, I'm getting ready to post something else, and I don't make the date. What are you gonna feel about what I'm saying every time I say I'm gonna post something? Even if it's in your reactive mind, you're gonna be like, this guy, he always say he's gonna do it, but he don't never do it the time he say he's gonna do it. So how am I gonna trust you?
Gotta be consistent.
When people say word is bond,
Word is bond.
word is really bond. Dealing with brand. Word is bond. See, now you're going to get down to who really knows what that means and who hasn't just been acting in parrot fashion. Like Polly want a cracker, Polly want a cracker, my brand, to sound chic. Just like GoFundMe. That's a brand. How so? How so? how can I gauge how much money I'm going to get from a GoFundMe? It's going to be based off of my community. And the way it used to be, the way we used to try to operate was to go on social media and bring people to your website. That way, you know that those who came to your website, those are your customers. Or to put it another way, those who have given you their email address. That's why email addresses were so important. I remember I did something years ago, and I had to pay this guy to use his email deal because he had numbers. That was a hustle. I got this many, I can drop it into my deal.
Power email list.
Okay, that was it. So for us, the thing was to get you to my website. And see, now I'm looking at something a little different. This is getting ahead of us. But I'm looking at something a little different. But to me, it's in line with branding. That social media is at a place, and whether you believe it or not, Facebook is also your competition. In branding, Facebook is your competition. Facebook is a brand, but they're smart. You know how?
How?
And this is something that I said, well, God, now they because they did an orientation on your community. You got a community already orientated by Facebook. And you know what it is? Man, I'm used to being interactive over here. I'm used to saying this about myself. It's interactive. Is my webpage interactive? No. And people are orientated to that. How much time they want to spend on my page? Or what is my page for? Is it just to get tickets? How does that work? I don't want to, what's the name? And my motto for when I was starting out was Ryan Leslie. You know who Ryan Leslie is? Because Ryan Leslie was doing what I was doing. But Ryan Leslie really had a big intention on his. But he was the only one that was doing what I was doing with all that filming and what have you. So I was inspired also by Ryan Leslie, because Ryan Leslie was the only one that I could see that was doing what I was doing.
And
that book that I suggested, Epic Content Marketing, that's what put me ahead of the game, even though I got 50 years plus. I'm like 18 years old out here, baby. You understand what I'm saying? You know.
Yeah. Even going back to like 18, 19, you studied acting at Caramel, right?
Yeah, because Clay Anderson, Ben Vereen's road manager, he told me to lend myself, even if it didn't pay, to lend myself to things such as that to develop my talent. Yeah, so in fact, my father used to say, and other people have said it, and even the acting coaches that I had at Caramel, Mike, I want you to be an actor. But I wanted to sing. Lucia Columbi, she was my teacher. Audrey Cobb was my teacher, and Margaret Ford Taylor. And of course, working with the infamous Reggie Kelly. My time at Caramel, Glenda Dickerson out of Washington, D.C. Mike Malone, who actually, that Duke Ellington school that Dave Chappelle came from, and then Mike worked with Debbie Allen, the Howard sisters, you know, just that environment, it's enriching, it's artistic, it feeds, it elevates. And that kind of energy, you transport that to other people. Man, art is a spirit. Let me get down to the essence of it, beyond the marketing and the visibility. What it does, art. And to me, our revolution, I said it. No, not preachers, not all that, but your artist. In the time that we're living in, the artist, true artists. I'm not talking about those that want to be in the business to get girls, to be in the business for attention. I'm talking about those who want to serve the people through art. Those are your new revolutionaries. It's got to come through the arts. It's got to come.
Wow.
Right now, look at the climate, baby. Look at your political climate. See, a lot of us may not want to ask is where we are. You hear a lot of people complain about Trump. Why am I complaining about him? How much control I got over him? How much? It's silly for me to think and put my energy over there. What can I intend over there? Nothing. I can only look and see what's before me and what I need to intend, because in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was survive.
Survive.
That was the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was survive. That's where we're at. We're dealing with a social existence. Spiritual beings dealing with a social existence. How do you operate as a spirit through this? That's what I'll be talking about. When I talk about everything, I'll be talking about the abilities that we have as a spirit that we can apply to the matter, energy, space, and time universe.
So for someone, or maybe even an out-of-towner that haven't been to Caramel House, what's that energy like?
Caramel House, man, that's the oldest black community theater in the world. What it was like for me
In Cleveland, Ohio.
What it was like for me, it was just awesome because of the level of talent in my class. Number classes, Jim Pickens, who's on what's the hospital series that's big? He's the black head of it.
I'm not sure. I don't watch much TV.
Well, James, people you may not have heard of, Marvin Wright Bates, look him up. Awesome talent. Just, whew, that kind of, where it's competition, but it's that healthy competition. Because everybody is coming in trying to be A100. Nobody wants to slack because the level of talents that's there. I want the part. So with that kind of thing, what do you think about the level of talent? What is it going to do? You see?
Elevate.
Because everybody trying to be on the A game. And helpful. A spirit of sharing, understanding that, hey, it's a whole. It's not just one person. And it must happen together. It's a great feeling and to feel that unity where something that wasn't there is there, and the people with this talent came together and made it one. That's the beauty of life as an artist. I wish life could be like that. I wish we as a people could come together as one. Oh, what we could be able to do. People talk about miracles. Oh, this would be a miracle. Black unity. That would be a miracle. Then talk to me, baby.
Yeah, art imitates life. Art imitate life.
They say that. I Dave Stewart, who I did Hip Hop for Life with Dave Stewart. That was the first hip hop film to make it to Sundance. We couldn't compete because we had already previewed the film. In order to compete in the Sundance, you can't preview your film. They have to preview it. But they gave us a showing. It was Hip Hop for Life. Dave Stewart did that film. I believed in it a lot, and it made it to Sundance.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was
that? The hip-hop community got together.
Unity.
The hip-hop community got together to make that film to represent Cleveland. Now, you asked me earlier, so let me digress and let me tell you what happened that I think hurt the live hip-hop scene. You had to audition for me. Then here comes the other promoters. Based on how many tickets you sell, you can be on the show. What did that do for a show? Visually. What did it do? If I can sell the tickets, I don't have to be a great act. I just sell the tickets. And the promoter has me on the show. To me, that hurt live hip-hop performance and expectations here in Cleveland. Because what was the spot that everybody was going to after Don and Velma left? The original owner took over, and I ended up working for who he brought in. But then it was a person there who felt like they got stepped over, and they should have been the one. And so they undermined what I was doing. Downtown in the flats, where we was killing them in the flats. Footage of all that. I'm not just talking. When we do this series, you got to see it. You got to see the level of talent. You got to see it. And just a lot of things we were doing. A lot of us doing a lot of recording. We got all that stuff.
Do you have a title for the series already?
My first one was called Il Million. I don't know what I want to call this one yet because I'm going to have to keep reviewing a lot of the footage because not only what I did for Cleveland through the hip hop, I actually have footage of some of the acts that were in Cleveland when I was coming up at 14, 15, 16. I was fortunate enough to put the Entertains back together so you can hear them talk about the Cleveland scene. You can hear them talk about the level of talent, and you'll be able to witness a performance to see what I'm talking about.
Man, can't wait
Cleveland,
for it.
talking about proud. Look, this history you need. We never document our history.
Need to.
You need to, because it's almost like being here and not connecting with Africa. You lost some of your history. To be in Cleveland and not connect with what was here, you're going to lose some of your history and your life force. You got to connect with what was so you can continue it. Your goal, the youth's goal, is to take it and continue it. But as always, it gets cut and the connection is broken. And then it always ends up sub. There's a TV show on Tubi that I want to recommend. On Tubi, go and watch this series called SOUL, Soul. There you're going to get poetry. You're going to get the revolutionary music. And let me say this while I'm at it.
Okay.
Afro beats. For some reason, I just tuned into Afro beats almost 15 years ago. But then, as it's circling around, I understand why. I was there in the 60s when the musicians, all the African, like I told you, the ancestors was upon us. Mm-hmm. The music of that period, the jazz mostly. I can't say mostly because of the rhythms and all that. Oh, it was straight Africa. And then Fela, who's the father of Afro beats, comes to America to try to make it in the business. I'm sure at that time, Africa and America came together musically. Mm-hmm. And then Fela hooked up with a Black Panther sister. And it was that sister that told Fela, take this music and revolutionary rise this music for your people.
Who is Fela?
Fela is the father of Afrobeats. Look him up.
Okay.
Fela. And Afrobeats was revolutionary music. And in the 60s, that's where we were. Afrobeats, baby. That's why it came back around to me. Wizkid, Burner, and all that.
Yeah.
It was pulling me in. I see why. Because actually, to me, like I said, they have a tendency to break things. Creativity was broken here in America. It was broken maybe after the 90s, but it was broken. And Wiz, Burna Boy, that progression of the black music from the 60s that we did, well, the ancestors was on us more than they were in Africa because we influenced it. And now to me, it's coming back to me, through that generation. So when you want to talk about us being one people, look at my mindset. Look at my mindset that shows you how it came back around to me. That's one people. That we shouted out. Fela got it. That R&B soul blackness that's not in us because we popped out. Now anybody can do R&B. R&B was soul music.
Soul music.
We were known for soul, not manufactured music. Soul. We free again, y'all. The internet, quit following and swallowing, being Polly want a cracker. and get creative. We're creative people, and we've forgotten that as a people. We are very creative people. And when we're not that, we are miserable. That's why our hands have been tied for so long here. That's why we go against one another, because you can't get kicked around so long and that energy doesn't come out. But see, we're not powerful enough to aim at that which aims at us. So we aim at each other. And we can't unify. We can't create together. Man, I'm going on. You know, like I tell you, this is other shows.
Oh my goodness. So even with that, speaking about the creativity, what's your thoughts on the new AI and this AI music?
You still have to be creative, don't you?
You do?
Okay. When does AI become an opposition?
Mindset.
What did I say? What did I say you must be? Objective? Didn't I say, and you must as is and say something shouldn't, this, that, and that, and you shouldn't say what it is before you see it. If it haven't happened and you're trying to guess what it is, you're working on your guess, and you be sitting there with your damn hands folded. Wait till it shows up and know that you have the ability to deal with any opposition. AI, why? Look, we're a spirit. And the AI, who did it come from?
Spirit.
It came from somebody else, didn't it?
That's true.
All right, it got created by somebody that didn't fall out of the sky. It's not an alien. Somebody created it.
I'm an alien.
So that could be. And we can get into the definition of that if you like. Hey, you see what I'm saying? So you either create and you can be out-created. You can create and you can out-create. It's an even flow.
Even flow.
So it's about, what did I say in my conversation? Create ability. You can't create enough ability to out-create an AI. You don't know it until it show up, and then it becomes opposition. But never fear opposition. You have the ability to surmount any opposition. You do. That's why I said you have to have faith in self and nothing outside of yourself. Because that which is outside of yourself, if they lead you to that dictates to you or it don't. And then if it doesn't, because see, things like that, you'll deal with that whether they're real or imagined. And if you're dealing with something that's imagined, it ain't as your source, you're already out the game. Because you take on that which is imagined.
That's true. And what would you say to a young artist like yourself as you was 14?
To talk to young people today, you know, it's very interesting because when you look at young people, they're different from when I was young. You understand what I'm saying? You're different. It's a different social orientation. See, whether you like to believe that we're free thinkers or not, but only a free thinker to a degree that you can be free to think. That's other than that, we're orientated into a social mechanism. And you hear people say, well, when I was younger, the person down the street, even though they weren't related to you, could give you a whooping or straighten you out. That stopped at a certain point. What happened? See, things change socially. We affected by propaganda, all that. So to the youth, it goes back to what I said about being objective. You're young, you're trying to discover what it is you want to do. I say gravitate toward that which you have the most affinity for. And when I say affinity, that means willingness to share space. Because that which you're willing to share space with, you'll give over to. So find that. Or some people will put it in another wording would be, find that which you have a passion about. Learn all you can about it and see if you're able to pay the price of that passion. If you're able to go, if you're willing to go all the way, because you're definitely going to have to need to look at it. You learn as you go and apply yourself as you go. Is that clear enough?
That is clear. And I want to go back to, I remember you talked about selling out shows with bringing in 50,000 or 500 people. And most people nowadays cannot even get 10.
Well, let's go back to what I said. Most are lounge events.
Lounge events, yep. So how do they step up and become on the next level?
Your creation and marketing. I'm not going to give people my ideas because they'll roll with them.
That's true.
I'm
That's
only
fair.
going to tell you so much.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
This is why believing in self is so important. Because, excuse me, like I said, we all have a reservoir of ideas. How many go in and out your head that you don't connect with and communicate with?
Oh, so many.
So that's a proof of point. So communicate with your own idea. Because then if you're not communicating with it, that tells you right there, that's something for you not to do. So you're not wasting any energy over there.
Yeah.
That clears it up, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what it's about, identity. You have to remember that we are not our identity. A spirit assumes identities. And most often than not, if we've seen a person that won something, we're going to assume that same identity that person did. Because don't we do that? Because that
true.
means, we'll win. But when you do that, though, there'll be a point when maybe that person's not around anymore, and then you got to get creative about your solutions. So let me say this. Like I said, we have a reservoir of ideas, and we create ability, right?
Creatability.
And we create ability. And you create your ability along the lines of that which you intend. We also accept the fact that there will be opposition and negativity. If you can't have opposition, you can't have negativity. You can't put a handle on it. That's when I hear people say, I don't want to be with negative people. Man, you might be a president of a record company and he's negative as hell. How you going to deal with it?
That's true. Gotta ebb and flow.
I remember Eddie had a lawyer, Eddie Kendricks had a lawyer that was handling his solo career. I had called and left a message. And I said, Eddie, how's the lawyer? He said, Bell, did you call me? I said, yeah, I called you. He said, did he know what you wanted to talk to me about? I said, no, I didn't say it. But I never got your call. So you tell me how good is he? He never told me you called. He didn't know what you need to talk to me about. He didn't know what it was. It could have been something major. So you tell me how good is he?
Wow.
Fired.
Wow.
You got to be sharp out here. How many artists you hear about losing money and all that? So what I'm telling you from the very beginning is going to get you taken care of across the board, because that's you as life in dealing with anything. It's not separate. That's you operating as a spirit in this crazy world. Accept the world for what it is.
Accept the world for what it is.
From a religious point of view, people say, you're born in sin. Now, you're not born in sin. Your nature is not that. But you're born on a criminal planet where everything they do is sinful. And it may you just be careful that you don't become the effect of it by trying to get what they got.
Product of your environment, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Is there a artist that you see nowadays that's well branding themselves?
Are you kidding me? Wiz Kid?
Wiz Kid.
International. Burna Boy. International. Most all your African artists. Chris Brown. Chris Brown was smart.
I want to even touch on
He jumped on Afro beats.
Mm-hmm.
And went over started rolling. He's smart. But I understand him and Wiz have been friends for the longest, trying to do something. So that kind of, he's so creative. So he's open to a lot of things. And that's really good. So most of mine are African. American music, to me, has had its day. It's like what Miles Davis, I remember he was asked in this documentary, what about the new artists? I don't see nothing happening because they're going to college studying what we already played.
That's true.
What we already did. We still talking about R. Kelly, the king of R&B. R&B never was. How you gonna say R&B when you can be popped out now? See, that was the whole thing. A lot of R&B artists. We need to get over to the pop. We need to get over to the pop so we can sell and we can keep our deal and we can do shows. So your so-called R&B kind of got watered down. Even R. Kelly, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He might be classified under R&B, but soul music, haven't heard it in a while.
What was the last track you heard that was soulful?
Woo, man, but see, I listen to a lot of underground. I was always an underground dude.
Same.
Yeah, I was always an underground dude because interesting enough, in Cleveland, you had a radio station called WMMS. Later on, it became mostly like rock. It was called a buzzard. But WMMS, their DJs didn't have a playlist. So in the 60s, you would hear R&B music that you wouldn't hear on your traditional R&B stations, which was WABQ and WGMO. So there was a lot of black underground artists that I got tuned into whose music was far ahead of what was being promoted commercially. Al Jarreau was a very interesting one, if I could speak of somebody who was so far advanced artistically that it took him so long to the point that he didn't get signed till he was 36 years old. Because like Gerald told me, I did a 2-hour interview with Gerald Levert that's going to be in this series a year before he passed away. And Gerald said this, he said, you got to remember, the people that run the record companies, they're not creative. It could have been the janitor who've been around for the company for 40 years. Their things are dollars. They don't deal with creativity. That's why I say it's the greatest time in the world to be an artist. Because you can be creative as you want to be, and I suggest that you do, so that you be distinguishable. Brand yourself correctly. And it'll take care of you because, see, you're talking about making a living. And they tell me you only get $4,000 off of 1 million streams.
Yes.
$4,000 from 1 million streams. How you gonna live on that? Hey, and like we used to say, and we had competition in our groups. Don't bother us live. We'll smoke you off the stage. Why? Because we want to come back again and again. So our performance is so important to us. That's why Charlie Wilson that's why he's so popular. That era of entertainment. How popular is Charlie? Because I'm telling you stuff you can look at. That's why. That's why Charlie is, that's why. That's his appeal. He has that panache. You can sing all day. You can sing 1 billion runs. You know, these kids, they go to the School of Arts. I see singers stand up. I don't see performers.
Right.
Again, I can stay home and listen to the real track.
Who was your favorite performer growing up?
Now?
Growing up.
You know it had to be Eddie Kendricks, Paul Williams, Al Jarreau, DJ Rogers. Who else can I name? Because there was a lot of underground people that people may not know. Walter Heath. Walter Heath is actually a Facebook friend of mine. You know, Walter Heath, I don't know if you ever heard of Seals and Croft.
No.
They were big. They wrote Summer Breeze. Summer Breeze make me feel. Then the Isley Brothers redid. But Seals and Croft had a bunch of Diamond Girl. They had a bunch of music. I think Walter married one of their sisters. But Walter, like I was saying, consciousness. You know, drugs was a big thing in the 60s. In the writing, Walter had a song called You Know You're Wrong, Don't You, Brother? You say you believe in the Bible, but you got to get down with survival. You say you're full of love for the human race. Still, you got to do your thing in the marketplace. You ride around in a brand new car, but anybody can see the sorry fool you are. And then you have the nerve enough to try and say that your brother's just a junkie anyway. You know you're wrong, don't you, brother? You're dealing death for $1. See, this kind of consciousness to enhance our community. You see, that writing, all that was cut off. But I tell you, If we had that's what's funny. Music feeds words, and therefore, well, I gotta wait to go to church on Sunday to hear it, to be inspired. No, just in your everyday living. Let us talk about those states that we're capable of reaching so that we on the square with one another.
Frequency.
That's what it's about. So we on the square with one another so that I'm trying to help you succeed because I know it'll help me. We have that bond. You understand? Or if you cross me, I'm going to come and talk to you and we get, well, however that is. But what it is, accountable to one another. Because I know this for a fact. You need people to make it. You don't make it by yourself. Believe that. You got to love people. To me, you got to love people to succeed. Because you're going to deal with all kinds. Huh? Yeah.
You want to speak about the importance of relationships and
The
business?
importance of relationships, well, I have to get into how you choose your people. It's very important on how you choose your people. You see what I'm saying? A lot of times we get people because our circumstances may choose them for us. You see? But how you choose your people is very important. But how can you be correct on choosing your people when you got to be correct about communicating with yourself and what you intend? Make sense? Communicate with yourself. Communicate with yourself. It's very important to be on the one with yourself. Because if you're not on the one with yourself, how are you going to be that in a relationship? And then let's move it further and say if you're not on the one with yourself and you're not good on the one-on-one, how you going to be good in a group? Huh?
That's true.
And then if you can't be good on those three, how you going to be good for your race? And then you're not on those, how you going to be good for mankind? Relationships. That's all it's about. How many... to define how well I get along in this side of eternity, on this side of existence, is how well I dealt with what? Relationships.
And yourself, yeah.
Right. Me, myself, and my integrity. When I say integrity, that's wholeness of self. That's my own self-created truth that I must live by, regardless of what somebody else says or done. My integrity may speak to me and say, no, don't do that, even though that may advance you, but don't step on that person to get ahead. That's integrity. Why? Because the faith in myself, I believe in my destiny. And who could bother my destiny if it's destiny? I make my decisions, or I'm the effect of something that I'm not aware of and it makes my decision for me and I think it's me. Then I'm in trouble.
All right.
Be objective.
Be objective.
Be clear in all things.
In all things, yeah.
You know, it's very easy when you think about relationships. You go, do unto others. It sounds so preachy or churchy, but want for others what you want for yourself. It's enough. For me, love is wisdom. Wisdom is love. People think that you're weak. But listen, if you put it all out there, it won't take you too long to find out who's who appreciate it and who don't. And then once you find that out, don't say what they should have done. Say what they did and then deal with it the way it is. Love is wisdom. If you know you Peerless, you can be in love, it's easy to read that which is not about it. Huh? Because people say so much. But we got to look at what you do.
The actions.
Yeah?
That's true.
You want to do this again, or did we cover it?
No, you got it all. I do want to speak about, I feel like Michael Jackson, one of the greatest entertainers and business person, performers.
Yeah.
Could sing also.
Yeah.
And to like modern times, I feel like Chris Brown kind of engulfed that. And now he's charging VIP $1,000 to take a picture.
Yeah.
Is that good, Brandon?
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Okay, because here's the thing about branding. That's when you find out how much your fans love you.
Mm-hmm.
If they pay $1,000, he doesn't know whether or not they took pop bottles to get the money or they had to struggle. That's their last 1,000. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know that. That's up to the individual to know that. Right. Can I afford that meet and greet? Can I afford a $1,000 meet and greet? Depends on how fanatical you are. Huh? Depends on how fanatical you are. I'm going to take my last $1,000 that I got in the bank and do a meet and greet with Chris Brown. I would say I'm fanatical. How about you?
Hey, that's the truth. How do one build themselves up to be or have that courage to charge $1,000?
How? That's not a guess.
Before the show.
That's not a guess. You got statistics in business. What's a guess? What's a guess? Let's take a look at this. How broad is Chris Brown's fan base? What are the ages who love Chris Brown? What's his appeal?
Younger.
All races. Mm-hmm. So marketing says you're going to get 7% of whatever your crowd is. So if you're looking at a cat with $1 billion people loving him, 7% ain't bad.
It's not.
All right. Wow. That's content marketing.
Content marketing.
7%. That's when I was talking about GoFundMe. And I was talking about the email before I got sidetracked. So somebody said to you, how much money are you trying to raise in the GoFundMe? Well, I need $10,000. Okay, my email is going to dictate how realistic that is. My email capture. I got 50 people that know about me that I can promote my GoFundMe to. Is $10,000 realistic? Look at your fan base. I got 50 people. You're not getting 10,000. Your crowdsource dictates what your advances are going to be.
Wow.
So you got, and then when I did Money Issues was my first release. I did that in the 90s, late 90s. And I remember going to get it pressed up. And the guy that was doing my art illustration, we were talking about likes and numbers and all that. And he said, let me show you something. And he showed me a guy in this city, man, an artist. Man, he was the man as far as followers, likes and what have you. It wasn't reflected by the people who bought his merchandise.
This is Mary Harris from Slate's What Next podcast with a message brought to you by Farmers Insurance. Yep, this is an ad. No two ways about it. Farmers paid my show to tell you about their refreshingly transparent approach to insurance, like how you get a clear breakdown of your policy with coverage on a page. That's all I have to read. So, if you want insurance as straightforward as this ad, visit farmers.com. Underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
There's a fire inside you can't ignore. Stand still? Not a chance. You're a lifelong learner who's come this far. Now, we're here to help you keep going further. Capella University. What can't you do? Visit capella.edu to learn more.
What bridge is that? Branding. You can have 1 million followers, but you won't know who's who until it's time to buy. It's like Facebook. Oh, you got a lot of followers. Yeah, but until it's time to buy,
right?
I appreciate it. Mm-hmm. But until it's time to buy, if they don't buy, who can I look at? Me. The brander.
The brander. So knowing what you know today, how would you brand yourself tomorrow? Would it stay the same, or would you change some things?
Well, see, this is what you have to look at. Mm-hmm. Nike, are they changing their brand? It's still just do it. Mm-hmm. And they're consistent with what they're selling. You're not changing. Once you find your brand, you consistently give that. What you create must be the visibility of your brand, what you say you're about. Remember, a brand answers the question, why should I have what you have to offer in my life? There's a million people doing what you're doing. So how much thought you need to give it? You got to give it something that's close to what you're about, because it's only you about that can be repeated, because that's who you know about. Or because you can get to know about more than anything else is you. Mm-hmm. It's almost like it's not separate. And as a creative person, that's cool. The music, what I'm about is all one. It's all a creative process. I have to dig in to know what I'm about. I can't be phony with it. I don't want to be. I can't consistently do phony. I can do the real Mike Bell or the real Peerless, be it right or wrong. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
No, that's true. You have to be.
You have to be. So faith in self, it always comes back down to one, doesn't it, out of everything that I've been saying.
That's true.
Faith in self, be objective, be clear on your intentions, and get on with it.
Wow. Now, 50 to 100 years from now, when people talk about Mike Bell Sr., what are some of those things you want them to say?
It depends on what I leave. I can't talk about that now because I'm still in operation. And what I intend to leave, if I leave it, I know what they're going to say, or I know what they're going to feel, even if they don't say it. Wow. Because that must be generated in me even before it's expressed out. Because that's what you feel in all creations. Whether you're conscious of it or not, you'll feel the vibrations. I had what people would call psychic clairvoyant woman came in my life when I was 19. She told me I was supposed to have been with her. And she said to me that you are a celestial artist. You understand? Of the spirit. So and I must give things of the spirit to enhance others' life force. Because everyone needs their life force enhanced. Am I right? Your life force is that keep you going. All of us need stuff that keep us going truly, especially now. Wow. There's so much dysfunction in the society that we live in. See, my view as an artist is broader than a record deal. And plus, I'm 72. I'm not looking to be signed to a label. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm youthful and can probably do more things than you people half my age. I know that for a fact.
True.
You know what I'm saying? I know that for a fact. But at this age, do I want somebody controlling me? Not unless the playing field is even. So to the youth, make sure your playing field is even before you jump in. Or don't jump in. Because how many of you hear from the stories that end up with no money? Do for self. This is the greatest time in the world to be anything. With the internet, everybody should have a brand.
Everybody.
When jobs get up out the way, there's the internet. That's a global market. We haven't even scratched the surface when you want to talk about the money that's on there. Man, I was in my studies, these guys, they kept raising money for something they were trying to get off. It was some kind of computer program or something they were doing. And I kept reading about it, and they were able to raise millions, lose it, raise millions in the private sector until they had to go public. And what happened, they had already predicted in 5 years they would have $3 billion. And he came home one day, and his wife was watching television, and she was crying. And he said, "What's the matter?" She was pointing to the television. The very thing that they were getting ready to sell in the 5 years to make the $3 billion, Microsoft just came out with it for free.
Wow.
Back to the drawing board.
Right.
Now that's enough to knock the wind out of your sails. But if you believe and you have intention, you can surmount even that. Because time is nothing but a consideration. Huh? Why do I say that? Take two people, come from the same environment, the same schooling. They both decide to be authors. They go to college. They get a deal. Why is it that one can write 5 books in 10 years, and let's say it's the same quality? Why is it that one can write 5 and one can write 9? You know what the difference is?
What's that?
The one that wrote 9 considered that he could write 9. Your considerations are senior over time. Because that's all it is a consideration. What you consider is your own self-truth. Believe in yourself so you can believe in your intentions. And you can get on with it.
Wow. So as we start to wrap up, I know you spoke about Cleveland almost becoming a national act. What stopped that?
Like I said, we didn't work together. We didn't work together. That's the bottom line. It takes unity. I don't care. You can have an idea, just like me. I can have an idea, and I can know every position that it takes to get it done, but I can't do it all. So therefore, you need people, if you could delegate, for lack of a better word, do this. You can't do everything. You need people. When they say you can't make it by yourself, that's the truth. You can't. And if you're not good with relationships, you won't. Paul told me that, Mike, you're going to make it. But first you got to learn how to talk to people. And I was like, I know you ain't talking to me the way you talk to me, but I understood.
And let's speak about legacy. What would you want your legacy to be? But it still continue.
It's going to go back to that which I create, and then I can do it no more, and that which I left. That will speak instead of me saying, because for me, without putting it in words, I would want to leave a certain spirit. You know what I mean? A certain spirit. Who could I use as an example to say we loved, just simple like this, we loved the spirit of the man. Anything that he had to offer, he offered. To help along the way. A spirit. They may not tune into that spirit, but for me, my intentions will speak for me. Because, people have different perceptions and conclusions about things. But integrity, that's why I live with integrity as close as I can now.
Right.
So I don't have to worry about what a legacy would be like because I know how I live.
I mean, even saying that, going back to branding, people have different brands or perceptions. And in their head, every individual has a different brand of you.
What is a brand?
To me, it's identity, the reflection, communication.
But in business, a brand answers the question, why do I need what you have to offer in my life? So a person that's branding would have to know what they have, that a person could define it as such. That takes some soul searching, doesn't it?
It do.
All right then. So even before you can speak on that, you have to know that's branding. And that takes a minute to get to. And then once you get to it, then the light comes on. And then you follow that light and create along that light. But that light must come to you first.
Wow.
It's a soul thing. You can look at it business-wise, but you have to go into your inner self to pull it out.
That's true, yeah.
So let's say it's spiritual. Let's say it's living. How close are you to your spirit? What your spirit about? What's it good about? I hear you what you're professing, but your brand's going to tell me. I hear what you're professing. What does your brand speak?
It's true. This has been amazing. Ooh. Is there something that I didn't ask that I should have asked?
No, but you can always come back. If you find people want to know more,
I'm coming back.
You know, we can talk. If you find that throughout this it was a lot of questions or whatever, or some people wanted some things cleared up. You know, we fam. You've been estranged, but I mean, we fam.
That is true. Yes.
Okay.
I appreciate this.
Surely.
As we wrap, I definitely want to again give you your flowers and thank you for sitting down, spending this time. This has been
I'm still cultivating. I appreciate the flowers. I'm still planting seeds.
Still planting seeds, the fruition. Yes. Even with that, it takes time to grow.
Yes, sir.
Man. It's definitely been a masterclass.
Okay.
Only for me, but you know, I know the audience would definitely.
Well, let's hope so that it is. There again.
And we'll be back.
What I had to offer, I hope it enhances their lives.
Wow. So this is photographer Steve Jackson of Alien Eyez Photos Media, bringing you Alien Eyez Photos Industry Talk with Peerless,
That's it.
Michael Bell, Sr.
Peerless. Right.
So either or. But you can find this on all streaming platforms, audio, and YouTube is being funky, but we're going to be on YouTube soon. And you can find me over at alieneyesphotos.com. That's alieneyesphotos.com. And follow me on all social media at Alien Eyez Photos. That's Alien Eyes with a Z and Photos with an S. And where can people find you?
Facebook, Michael Bell Sr. Instagram, Peerless. TikTok, Peerless. For right now, more to come.
Yes. And any closing words? What would you want to leave the audience?
My closing words is that I want for you all what I want for myself. Be clear on what you want. Be about it. Get on with it.
And that's it. It's a wrap.
Fuel your hustle with protein-packed, flavor-stacked Roller Bites. These compact handheld snacks deliver bold taste and real protein, so you can stay full, focused, and moving. No mess, no slowdown. Big flavor, clean fuel, and the kind of bite that just works. From long days to late nights, Roller Bites are ready when you need them in flavors like tequila lime, Monterey Jack, and Buffalo Ranch. Grab them in your nearest convenience store or catch them on tour. Visit rollerbites.com for dates, locations, and more.
When your diamond engagement ring matters, choose Tacori. Discover Tacori engagement and wedding rings, known for design, detail, and beauty. From delicate hidden diamonds to signature craftsmanship, see the full Tacori collection only at Mervis Diamond Importers. Getting engaged or married? Start at Mervis Diamonds. Mervis means more diamonds, better quality, and the most value. Marry a Mervis Diamond with a Tacori engagement ring and watch the sparks fly. Only at Mervis Diamond Importers. Go to mervisdiamonds.com or call 800-HER-LOVE.
You've never been one to settle. Stand down or stand still. You're a lifelong learner, energized by excellence. There's a fire inside you you can't ignore. You've got competition to outrun, momentum to build on, and your own high standards to meet. Stop now? Not a chance. At Capella University, we help you catch what you're chasing because you've always had the drive. Now, go earn the degree. Capella University. What can't you do? Visit capella.edu to learn more.